Well then, good evening everybody and welcome to a very, 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 very wet qualifying session here in Spielberg, Austria. For those of you who aren't aware, it is the close of the regular season in JACKOCAR, or round 10 for those of you that are familiar with it by now. It is of course the end of the boring bit and the beginning of the very good bit. Season 7 of the Cup Series has reached its initial conclusion, but there is still so much to play for. And just for tonight, I have myself two guests. We'll go to in-car guest first tonight, so something I did last week for the first time ever. Kieran Spears in the car.
Hello.
How are we this evening?
Very excited, actually.
And do you think that you can get around this without crashing and talking at the same time as us?
I hope so.
Well, we will see, and we'll come to you a little bit later on when you give us a guide of your qualifying lap, which is quite late in the session, actually, 6 minutes 30. But also, I am joined by my analysis, my co-coms this evening. First time in JACKOCAR, I believe, that he's doing this. Going to the chase this season, hence why he's available tonight. It is, of course, Danny Quinn. How are we, sir?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good. Obviously, first time in the commentary box here in JACKOCAR, so excited to see how this goes, and couldn't have picked a better time than the regular season finale.
No, absolutely. The very best time to do it. Like I said to you before the stream started, of all the races, this is probably the second best one to commentate over, purely because it's going to be full of drama. Let me get this ready for myself, because the VAR is in action tonight, so we have to have that available. And let's talk then, gentlemen, about the cut-off. So we got 7 drivers already advanced. We're not worried about them. But above the cut-off, we have Casper, Jamie and Connor, who are 16, 12 and 5 points ahead of the cut line, respectively. And below them, Yuri, Jess and Ben, who are -5, -8 and -10. Do you guys see any way in for those 3 below the cut line? Or do you think somebody a little bit outside the box will sneak in?
Personally, I can see Yuri sneaking in. I just having raced against him for such a long time and knowing how he can perform under pressure, I think he can definitely find a way to sneak in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Kieran, any thoughts?
I'm actually going to go for a bit of a out of the blue one. I'm saying that we're going to have a winner from the bottom, from 14th downwards.
Okay.
I just have a feeling it's going to be a bit of a mixed up race.
It's not something that is uncommon in the Cup Series, or the Kia Series for that matter. Of course, we've seen Corey and Risky and Tez. They've all come from positions very low down in the standings. You know, they've had awful seasons up to Austria, and then they somehow, this place, it's magical. They come here, they win, and then they go on to have, semi-decent playoff campaigns. Nobody has yet come to Austria and then gone on to win the championship, though. So perhaps there is either a curse or a curse to be broken tonight as we follow Michael O'Kk round on his outlap. He will be the first driver tonight because there is no Tez Peckstock available, who we all earlier in the week said was going to be the driver to beat. But we'll see then how Michael O'Kk gets on. We'll go for a lap on board. Hopefully he gets round without spinning, because that's what he normally does when I'm lead commentary, but we'll see what we can do. Heavy braking into turn 1, gets it thrown in. You've got to stay within the white line there. It's not one of those corners you can abuse. The run up then to turn 2, which is this kink here, not really a corner. You're mainly focusing on turn 3, braking just after the 100-metre board because it's uphill. Get it turned in, hit the apex, try and keep traction on the exit. And then, of course, this now is the second DRS zone of the lap on the run down to turn 4. One of these corners, you can go inside or outside and pick your line, whatever suits you. Lots of overtaking to be done here tonight. And this will end, what is sector 2 around this corner. This is, I believe, turn 5 or 6. I'm not really sure. as we head into what we're going to call turn 7. Anybody else any good at counting? Because I'm not. This is turn 8. Michael O'Keke has managed to keep it facing the right way. This is turn 9. Of course, pit entry on the right. That will be heavily scrutinised tonight. You will be reported if you go out wide. Into turn 10, then Michael O'Keke has a moment on the exit, but it's going to be across the line and sets us up with a benchmark of 1:11.7. Mr. Danny Quinn, would you like to take us round with Speed Risky?
Yeah, so it's just going round turn 7 now, not all over the curve on turn 8, and then coming up to turn 9 you want to get as wide angle as you can. Looked quite clean through turn 9, then turn 10 all over the exit curb up to the line. It will not be okay.
A thousandth of a second in it there. I did well to not invalidate on the final corner there, did Risky. Kept it valid, but because of his problems in turn 7, who am I looking for? Robin Border. Am I going blind, lads? There he is. Yeah, because of his problems, he actually lost out on what would have been a provisional pole position. As we join then the Kia Series reserve, Robin Border had a night to forget on Tuesday in Monza when it all went wrong on the start on lap 1. I'm sure we'll talk about that later, Mr. Quinn. But round he comes then, little moment, keeps it out the wall, keeps it valid, but that will be another botched qualifying lap. Actually, you know what, he qualified P3 I think on Tuesday. It was the result he doesn't want to talk about. Leroy Hazelager up next, one of your rivals, Mr. Quinn.
Yep, indeed he is. So just going through turn 6 now, a little bit of a moment on the exit there. Turn 7, you want to get as close to the curb as you can, like he didn't. All over the curb, something that Risky did not do. And then on the run down to turn 9, gets it slowed down nicely. Very clean, the last corner, over the inside curb. Not as much over the curb as Risky. Puts himself provisional pole.
Sure does. So that's the new benchmark then. Let me get ourselves on board with Matt Shepherd, who has not left the pit lane. So he's missed his qualifying slot. He had the 13-15 gap, so we will not see him on track. Instead, we'll move then to Pete Knighton, who, Kieran, one of your rivals.
Indeed. I do like his livery, gotta be honest. Oh, he spun it into the pit lane. That's not something you want to be doing. Is he going to get disqualified for that?
He may get disqualified.
Validation.
Yeah.
So Pete, one of those drivers coming into tonight in a must-win situation. That will not help him. But we have seen this race won from the back before. Speaking of winning races, somebody who is yet to do so in the Cup Series. He finally got his first win a few weeks ago in the Kia Series in Singapore. It is Ben Harrah, the resident midfield man. Such as the way the timings have worked out, we're going to get a whole lap with him. He might have left a little bit later than the others. Keeps it valid through the final corner. So we'll see what Ben Harrah can do. We're starting to see these drivers coming out now on the dry compounds, the softs. Cuts a lot of turn 1, does Ben Harrah, but gets away with it. So this, providing he keeps it valid, will be a new pole position time. Kieran, Danny, any thoughts on Ben Harra's season? He's coming into this -10, but with every shot of making it to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think going into the playoffs, I think with his first win being in Kia, is going to boost his confidence 100%. And just something that I noticed, going through the DRS zones, it isn't actually active yet, and he's on the soft tyres, so it's an interesting situation because he's obviously finding pace, and like it should be, the track looks completely dry, so I'm not sure why DRS isn't enabled at the moment.
Well, if the weather's going to go against him, or anyone else for that matter, sorry, it is raining on board with Ben Harrah. DRS now enabled, so maybe those raindrops will clear up, as there is the new pole position time. As we move on to Jespel, -8 of the cut-off. But yeah, like you say, Danny, I think this track is drying up. It's not that the game gave us one clean lap of dry tyre running. Jess into the penultimate corner then. One of those, she's had such a consistent season. Only to be -8 in this field is incredible. She goes P2, of course, that's brilliant. Is that going to push her into the playoffs for the first time, into the Cup Series playoffs? We welcome back Jori Hazelager. Here he is. Full time to the Cup Series. The first of 2 jokers you'll see tonight. The other one is Mike Kelterborn, who was last week's race winner. Of course, replacing Jordan Lane, who has opted not to continue for the rest of the season. But Jori, his one Cup Series win was here 2 seasons ago. And unfortunately for him, on that day, he was a reserve. Danny Quinn.
Yeah, he did have a little bit of a lift going through turn 7 there on the exit, so it won't be optimal lap from him. But I was just going to mention that, well, he puts in a stonking lap of 1.4 ahead of Ben Harrop, but I personally think from this lap onwards, we might well see, barring any invalidations, we might well see every successive lap being provisional pole. Just because of the track evolution when it's drying up, I think we could definitely see every lap being a provisional pole lap.
Yeah, it's something we've never seen. Consecutive lap times beaten lap after lap after lap. But this qualifying format was designed to persuade that, to make it happen. As we follow Connor Byers through the final corner, throws it in, having his best season to date. Finally got a podium last week and goes provisional pole position. Does the man from the ART team, chasing the playoffs once again. It's been a long time since he's been able to do that, but back on form is Connor Byers. So we move on then to Jamie Griffiths, who started the season well, and it's just fell away from him in recent weeks, but the pace is still there, and this is one of those tracks, being a short track where anyone can win, and a man who is anyone is Jamie Griffiths. He tends to win the odd races, the races he shouldn't win. Kieran Spears, you're a good mate of Jamie Griffiths, been in many a party with him. Can he advance to the playoffs tonight?
I reckon if he has a good result, I reckon easily. But I guess we'll see. It's all his consistency. He's very consistent. I reckon. Definitely. Yep.
He was unlucky last season to be knocked out so early in the playoffs, but he has certainly come back. Improvements all round this season. Mike Kelterborn hasn't gone out. He is entitled to a an installation lap. Now you see him retire. So we move straight on to Casper Klein. Danny Quinn, I'll let you talk about Casper.
Yeah, so down
your
into turn
teammate,
one,
of course.
Going on into turn 1, you want to use that as much as the outside curve as possible, and he does do that very well. Going through turn 2, which is not really a turn. Turn 3, you want to do the same. And takes that very cleanly through turn 3. That is a purple sector, although we know what the game's like. Down into turn 4 now. Tricky corner. Multiple lines, as you've said before. He opts for a tight line and gets on the power very well, does Casper. Through this tricky turn 6. Opts to not go onto the curb. Missed the apex a little bit. Turn 7. That's as best a line as you can get. Very good through turn 8. Then turn 9, you want to keep the minimum speed up as much as you can. Use the outside curb. Once again, very close to invalidating there, but Casper goes provisional pole.
Doing RDR proud. We're going to have to move very, very quickly, though, because Kieran Spears is on a lap. Talk us through it, Kieran.
So, going down...
This is turn 4, by the way.
Turn 4. Okay. That was a bit unneeded there. Going through turn 5, it's a little kink. Turn 6, very fast. Oh, messed that up. Sector 2, not purple.
It's the pressure of 8 people watching him as he has another moment as Kieran Spears. Go on, keep talking to us. Down to turn 9.
Going to turn 9, you really have to stay on the throttle I'm.
Oh!
I have
Driving.
looked that up probably.
Driving like a driver who has nothing to race for this evening. He's already into the playoffs, but he can't gain any playoff points because, or not from the regular season, because you're nowhere near the likes of Jamie Wright and Gareth Hall, and also Ben Shaw, of course, P2 and P3 up for grabs. We'll move on from you because that was embarrassing. Someone who isn't embarrassing, and Kyle Smith, one race win under his name on his return to the league. Can he go pole position in Austria? Yes, he can for now. Who's left to go? It's the big four, starting with the fastest driver in team speed then, Gareth Hall. Down into turn 4 he comes in a Mercedes-inspired livery. Of course, Danny Quinn, you've got something to say about this man.
Yes, not sure if you knew, but Gareth actually has this little alter ego that he's kept under wraps. He's actually an owner of 1,000 cats that he tends to every day. It takes all day, and he doesn't get any practice in. And yeah, he's just a cat man, really. That's all I can say.
Gareth loves his cats, and as he comes up to the line, it's only P2. Kyle remains on pole. What about Jamie Wright? He's invalidated more qualifying laps this season than ever before in a regular season campaign. And the two-time champion currently sits third in the standings, looking for those bonus playoff points. It'd be 3 playoff points if he stays P3. Of course, Gareth is the man hunting him down. He's 4 points behind, which of course is 4 on-track positions. If it goes to count back, Jamie Wright would win that. Of course, Jamie Wright is not looking back. However, he is looking forward because the gap to Iceman is 5 or 6 points. Of course, Iceman you will see in a second. But Jamie Wright then, turn 9, soon to be into turn 10. He's kept this one valid, guys. Through the final corner he goes. It stays green up to the line. Jamie Wright, it's P1, 4 tenths clear. Ben Shaw, what have he got?
Yeah, we know what Ben Shaw's like when it comes to these clutch moments in qualifying. He can either just pit pole or just completely blitz the field. So it's going to be interesting to see what Ben Shaw in qualifying we get here today. Through turn 6, taking all the curve. Turn 7, kisses that curve on the inside. Turn 8, you want to get onto that rumble strip there. Down into turn 9. You want to use as much as the track as possible here. Open up the angle, carries the speed through. From what I've seen, it's been such a clean lap. Even turn 10, all over the curb. What time will it be?
It's not quite pole. It's not perfect. So the record currently stays with Jamie Wright and Arnold. But what about Jake O'Sullivan? Last week, when Corey Dalton returned to JACKOCAR, he equalled Corey's record of 5 poles in the league. But the Season 5 champion wants to now extend beyond that and look for number 6 to keep the pressure on going into the postseason. Then Jake O'Sullivan has been the absolute class of the field this season. A worst finish, excluding his DNF of course, of I believe 6th place only last week. But other than that, it's been P1s, P2s and P3s all the way. Stark contrast to his season when he was champion, but the way he's going, he's driving like a champion, a 2-time champion, dare I say it. But of course he's got a whole playoff campaign to get through. Final corner, keeps it valid, up to the line. It's Jake O'Sullivan on pole once again. It's number 6 and knocks his teammate off the top. But it's the top 3 in the standings that will start 1, 2 and 3 on the grid for Spielberg, Austria, and round 10.
That was near perfect lap from Jake there. It was just, I didn't see him make one single mistake. He was on it from when he crossed to start his lap to when he ended it. It was a very good lap. But Pete's got to be feeling a lot of pressure. Down in last place. Of course, we have seen winners from the bottom half of the grid before here in Cup Series, but you have to say Peter's got a mammoth task at hand here in Austria.
Pete, of course, not one to shy away from a challenge. He tried so hard the last 2 seasons to advance through the chase, but it hasn't worked out. Instead, he will start P19. Has it all to do. Might be looking at another chase campaign, but I'll quickly run you through the order. So it's Jake, Jamie, Iceman, Kyle, Gareth, Casper. What a top 6 that is. And of course, informed Connor returning Yuri to full time in P8. Jamie Griffiths P9. The midfield man starts bang in the middle of the midfield. Jess chasing the playoff dream in Cup Series P11. Then it's Leroy and Kieran, who is our onboard commentator, OKK P14, and the rest are irrelevant because I was too slow. So there you go. Well then. Were we expecting this? We were certainly expecting drama, and the rain often brings that. But we have a wet race. So, Kieran, what are you now thinking now you've got a wet race in store? And what's the weather saying as well?
Oh, the weather. Well, I do have my wheel to tell you that. It is wet throughout the whole race. By the looks of it. It's meant to get heavier in half an hour. So
perfect.
It'll probably go to wets and then it will go back to inters. So
that does leave us with an interesting strategy call to be made then by the drivers. Of course, the stage points tonight are lap 9 and lap 18. And if that heavier rain comes around anywhere near lap 18, do you stay out for the stage point? Do you need the stage point, or do you pit and work it out? What would you do, Quinn, in a situation like this? Of course, you're a cup driver as well.
For
cry and hope for the best.
Yeah. Well, that, and if I was in a position to get a stage point, I'd stay out. Having even +1 stage point in the chase is like a golden ticket.
Absolutely. Especially if you've got penalty points as well, like yourself. But we won't mention that.
But even like in Kia last season, my win to start the playoffs, start the postseason at Monza, that was a big factor. And of course, in that campaign, I went on to win 2 races. Albeit in Brazil, it wasn't on track. Even a win in the chase is big. It can really play into your hands. And even in the last race of the regular season, every stage point you can get, every playoff point you can get, really helps you through the chase.
Crucial. So of course he won Monza last season in the Kia Series, but he couldn't even get off the line this season. Absolutely embarrassing stuff to see on a Tuesday night, bringing the reputation of the league down. So we'll move on from that. Kieran Spears, talk to us. How are the conditions now that you're going around on your formation lap?
Very much inters. I'm understeering quite a bit, which is a bit concerning. Tyres are warmed up though. Definitely intermediates for now. But with the weather meant to be getting heavier, it's going to be a mixed-up race, I reckon. We're going to have some surprises.
And we couldn't wish for anything better than as we watch Kieran come around into the box. And remember, the drivers to keep your eye on tonight: Casper, Jamie and Connor, that's Jamie Griffiths, all above the cut line, and Yuri, Jess and Ben Harrett below it. If you're interested in the regular season standings, it is Jake who has already won the regular season title, but it's Ben Shaw, Jamie Wright and Gareth all hard fighting for second and third, as we see Gareth in P5 has lined up in the middle of the track. Hopefully ready to cause some carnage. Then it's 3, 4 and 5 lights here in Austria, and JACKOCAR's regular season finale will be underway shortly. Drive-through penalties at the back already. We've not even got going, guys. Come on. Great start for Kieran all the way back there. But it's going to be Jamie Wright leading into turn 1 from Jake, and Ben Shaw's going to try and send it as Jake goes wide. Is there contact further back? We see a few cars going wide, a couple of penalties already. But it looks to be fairly clean. We're going to stay on board with Risky on the run-up towards turn 3. He brakes early, thinking better of it. So does everybody else behind him. Contact ahead.
That was Gareth.
Was it Gareth? I didn't see any wing damage flying anywhere. We see a falling Connor. But let's go back to the action.
Yeah, Jamie Numbers as well is falling back, and KK does get... there's a bit of wing falling off. I didn't see who that was from.
Looks like it could be from Connor. So Meanwhile, Kieran is having a great battle with OKK here. We won't talk to him because he needs to concentrate, but gets the move done on OKK, and Kieran now up the inside of Risky. Meanwhile, J-Luke out front has got a 1 second lead. Iceman did stay ahead of Cajman, and there's movement at the back as Pete and Matt Shepherd fight away. Of course, both of those have a drive-through penalty, which they will serve on lap 1. J-Luke leads the first lap in Austria. It's a race he doesn't need to win, but the playoff points are oh so valuable. And finishing like it does here would give him P2 in the regular season standings, which is an extra 3 playoff points going into the postseason. So good stuff for him so far as he leads lap 2. Further back we see Leroy, who's had a moment and drops away. Danny Quinn, take over because I've ran out of energy.
Yes, Leroy got on the power a bit too early there, and we see fighting between the speed drivers. Gareth and Yuri both going side by side down into turn 4 here. Will Gareth go for the inside line? He does. Yuri may look for the switchback, but in these conditions it's very tough, and Gareth just stays ahead. Leroy does. Leroy and MK Bourne are fighting now. Yeah, Leroy and Make. Make stays ahead. Again, more fighting. As that's Ben Harrott going for a move on Gareth, and he gets it done.
Yep, Gareth is that man who lost the wing at turn 4, by the way. You can see the damage on his front left end plate there. Jamie Griffiths, is he going to send it down the inside? What a move this will be. Into turn 10 he goes. Fantastic driving from the Welshman as he looks to enter the playoffs once again. Fastest lap from Jake, but Jamie Wright leads another lap in Austria. Shep and Pete fighting at the back. There's yellow flags on track, and they are gone. Pete seemingly struggling. Don't know if he had maybe a slightly longer stop or a problem entering the pit lane, but he trundles round the back for now. Plenty to go. Long way to go in this race. Look at these top 3 breaking away. Kyle in P4. Your teammate Daniel in P5, keeping Kyle honest.
Yeah, just looking at Jake in a moment, he got a much better run out of turn 3 than Ben Shaw, but he managed to just keep ahead. He did use a bit of VRS, did Jake, but seems like Ben is starting to close up just a little bit to Jamie there. And yeah, he's getting close to within that 1 second as that's Gareth getting overtaken by Kieran.
By our third commentator, Kieran. Good move there. How did that go for you? Was Gareth just struggling out there?
Oh, I just managed to squeeze my nose in.
Speaking of squeezing your nose in, the man 2 cars in front of you, Jamie Griffiths, is having an excellent race so far. Ben Spurs now in the sandwich of Jamie and Kieran. Has a bit more pace on the straight here. Kieran, keep this one interesting for us. Give us something to watch, my son, as we see Jake make a move on Ben in before turn 3.
Yeah, it was a very good move by Jake, lining her up.
And Ben Harrah almost into the back of Jamie Griffiths there. Is he going to get the undercut here? No, he's not. The traction wasn't with him. Sorry to interrupt you there, Danny. But Ben Harrett was eyeing up a move, and Jamie Griffiths shut the door, but he's going to get this done around the outside of turn 4, is he? On lap 4, Jamie Griffiths leaves his nose in, and the position is his once again. Ben Harrett has a moment on the exit. Kieran will be relishing the opportunity to gain a couple of positions here. Meanwhile, Iceman goes back through. Jamie Wright is off and is now falling behind Kyle and Casper. We missed that.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe it was a tactical move from Ben, knowing that Jake was the faster man out of the 2 and just letting him, well, sort of drag himself along to catch J-Luke, and obviously pressure got a bit too much for Jamie there, and he's ultimately into the pits now.
Yep, first driver to pit, and that is a mandatory stop. So that is the first of the mandatory stops as well, because Pete and Emstrup are non-mandatory.
Oh, we did actually have we did have Risky and Gareth both pit at the end of lap 3.
I apologise, I missed that. There, no, we didn't. Unless the game's telling me lies. Only the 1 stop, J-Luke.
Oh. For me, it says that they both stopped, and I definitely saw them both in the pits. So, yeah, it was the end of lap 3.
Oh, Sorry, this is me being an absolute tit, by the way. So the stop doesn't count for Matt Shep and Pete because they were just drive-throughs. Never mind.
Yeah.
Gareth and Risky did both wait until the lap 3 at least, so they are mandatory stops there. As we
It
see
looks
Jamie.
like Ben. Yeah, it looks like Ben is going to be coming into the pits. Of course he is. He did lose some ground to Jake, so maybe he's just trying to get an advantage. But as we know on this game, the overcut is always the most powerful move you can do.
Yep, so if we stay, well, it won't really matter too much because Jamie Wright had his moments. He was so far behind Ben by the time he pitted that I don't think he's going to get much advantage from this, especially with it being wet as well. But here comes Jamie Wright down the pit straight. Ben is already out of turn 1, so that mistake proving costly then. And we see M. Shep getting past Leroy, who is pitting, or has pitted. So the race starting to even itself out. Remember, keep in mind, everyone, that Mike in P11 and Yuri, who's just overtaken Jamie Griffiths in P4 and now P5 again, they are the 2 jokers. They are entitled to make 1 stop only. As we see Ben Harrett go off, what happened there, Kieran? You were behind that.
He's all over the place at the moment. He's really struggling on the traction, and he's been losing the rear end quite a bit.
Like there. Oh, be careful, my son. You don't want to lose a wing.
I'm trying to get past him the last couple laps, but his straight line speed is just so much more superior to mine.
Hang in there. So you could be the first driver to win a race and commentate at the same time. Casper and Rageman pit, by the way. Yellow flags. Pete Knighton is going to the chase in Season 7. He is out of this race, and there will be a safety car in Austria on lap 7, which at the end of... it's the end of lap 9, isn't it? That's when the first stage point is. Hold your horses. It's not happening yet.
Yeah, no one actually decides to go and pit. I think only, well, actually Rageman and Jess are both in the pits, but
Rageman was already in there.
Yeah,
Rageman was already in, but Jess would have to go to a VAR check, which we will do now.
Of course you can pit under safety car.
Yeah,
here in Cup Series. And everyone, I believe everyone behind Jess, that was, I believe, the only people who had time to pit were Leroy, Gareth, and Risky. They didn't choose to come into the pits, of course. Gareth and Risky have already made 1 stop. So it would be a bit too early to pit again, I'd say.
For sure. And VAR check complete. Jess' pit stop was legal. This one, however, for Jamie Griffiths, mandatory, but he has now used up his safety car stop. And maybe a clever decision. Remember, even in rain-affected races, you still have to make your 2 mandatory stops unless you're on the Joker. So for people like MK Bourne and Yuri Hazelager in P3, this safety car is good for them still. The lead runner, after those guys who's made a stop, is the ever-present car number 29.
Yeah, just looking at this, technically the net race leader going by Jokers is actually Yuri.
Yeah.
He's a net race leader, and this safety car is playing into his hands. But like Kieran said before the race started, to potentially back to Inters, that could be really detrimental to Yuri, because his 1 stop, I'd say, would have to be onto the wets, and if it goes back to Inters, he's going to be down on pace a lot.
If we go to the car in P5, Kieran, what is the weatherman telling you right now?
The weatherman, let's ask the weatherman, because the weatherman...
Or the meteorologist, I should say.
Oh yeah, that's possible. Still wet. It looks like it's going to be wet the whole race. I don't think it's going to be. It does.
Oh no!
Much dry,
Okay, thank you, Kieran. We see him, Rageman, stuck in the gravel. He's beached.
Oh.
So he'll either get disqualified or he has reset to track. So that is a 30-second penalty. Didn't have a lot of choice. But it saves his race. Let me just write this one down so I don't forget it. Rageman.
He is
Lap 8.
missing a front wing, so he is going to be coming into the pits to change that, and he's probably going to be going back onto a set of inters. It's definitely not the conditions for wets at the moment.
Not at all.
So yeah, Shep is in as well. He's onto another set of intermediate tyres.
There you go. So M. Shep has used up his safety car stop as well, as has Rageman. The beauty of this is it enables them to stay with the pack, but the disadvantage is you lose the advantage later on in the race should another safety car come out. So you have to pit under green now for it to be a mandatory stop after lap 18, so lap 19 onwards. But Rageman comes out P17 with Joker showing on my screen. MK Bourne down in P18. What's happened there? Or is the game...
Yeah, I think he's a lap down. He's going to be a lap down on majority of the field, and that's okay. Getting a 5-second penalty, I believe that may have been... Actually, I'm not too sure. That may have actually been from overtaking... Mike, and Connor's got one as well.
Yes.
So both of them get illegal overtakes for going past Mike under the safety car.
What we don't understand here is Mike. Oh my god! Is somehow a lap down. He's just driven into the side of his teammate. I don't know if this is a game glitch, if he can even see those guys, or what. I mean, Jake O'Sullivan is on lap 10 and Mike is on lap 9, so he has to be a lap down. But if he's in the train here, he is obliged to pit. He's trying to let everyone go. Mike, you can't do this. Because if people overtake you, they're going to get a penalty. Yeah. Like OKK and Connor have. But of course, they will have to serve that, so it won't be removable. Safety car in this lap. Mike is going to have to pit. The Joker has been thrown away under very weird circumstances that we don't quite know why. Jake O'Sullivan, meanwhile, he will pick up, or already has picked up, the Stage 1 win. That's number 7 of the season. I'm sort of half interested in staying on board with Mike. He is keeping up with the field here. If he knows the rules, he'll pit. Finds himself P7 in the train, but P18 on track. What is he doing? He should stay to the right here.
What is... Yeah, not really sure what he's doing, but for everyone watching, the restart zone is the DRS activation line, so he can go anywhere from now, and he goes instantly. Catches Kyle out a little bit. Yuri is getting swamped, and Ben Harrott making it free wide into turn 1. But Kyle does get through unscathed, and Ben Harrott may have been a little bit of a contact with Yuri there. I heard it, and Ben gets a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags, and that is that another safety car? Or maybe it's a VSC.
It's not a safety car. I'm not really sure what's going on here. I haven't got a Delta. It's just all yellow flags around the whole track.
Okay, J-Luke now with a 5-second penalty. So, Quinn, I don't know if you saw it, but on the restart there, Mike and Connor drove into each other. I stayed with the action that you were commentating on. Out of turn 1, OKK spun, Ben Harrott had a half spin, Kieran spun, Mike continued racing in the train. He's obviously still P18. Where is he on track? Turn 7. Yellow flags all the way around. So really not quite sure. And all the big names have a 5-second penalty.
Could I just say, I think not all these 5 seconds are coming from where people are overtaking under the yellow flag.
OKK and Connors were.
I reckon all of them are. Because that's why I had to spin, because it was telling me that I had an illegal overtake on the
but if a driver has spun... Oh my god. If a driver is spun off the track, then you wouldn't get the 5-second penalty. The game recognises that the driver spun off. Here goes Gareth on Mike and Risky. He's now letting them go. Jamie Griffiths as well? Ooh, maybe not. We'll come back to this. Mike is actually now P12, so he is fighting for position. I really don't understand. Really don't understand.
Somehow, this is really... Not sure what's going on here, but both Rageman and Kieran get moved done on Jess. This is not the race that she wanted, chasing a potential playoff position.
And Jess would be the first to tell you that she doesn't like the wet conditions. Obviously, still transitioning to medium traction. She's done a great job of doing it in the dry, but the wet is not her friend currently. Jake leads another lap. Shock. Sorry. But fair play to Jess. If she hangs it in there, she might just end up in the playoffs. You never know, because Connor is out, and someone else who is out is MK Bourne, but he's done it in the pit lane. So after he's caused at least 5 or 6 5-second penalties for everyone, has now decided to retire the car. That is Joker over. Joker done. See you in the playoffs next week, where we go to San Marino. OKK recovering from his spin. Gets past Jess before turn 3. Yellow flag's out again. That'll be for Mike's car on track. Let's go back to leaders. We've not seen them for a while. It is, of course, Jake O'Sullivan leading by 2.6 seconds over teammate Kyle Smith. Race winner in Monaco a couple of weeks ago. And the Joker driver, Juri Hazelager, there. Once again, finding himself in a very good position in an Austria Cup Series race.
Yeah,
we told you it could all happen, and it's happening.
Yeah, it's looking like a very, very strong race for Yuri, and he's got a bit of a train behind him.
I see that.
He's got Ben Harrop, Ben Shaw, Casper, and Jamie all behind him, and that's actually Ben. Ben Shaw makes the move on Ben Harrop, but Ben Harrop gets past him off track, which looks like...
Oh, we've seen this before. We've seen this before.
A little bit of wheel banging from the two of them. Ben Shaw opts for the inside line, crowding out all the space, and that allows Casper to get alongside. And both the Bens are kind of working together to box in Casper.
But to the inside, Casper will go. Doesn't quite send it, locks it up. Hits the back of Ben Shaw, but gets away with it. And Ben Harrett's still there as well, side by side as they head down towards turn 6. Oh, almost contact again. But Casper around the outside he goes, doing RDR proud, I should say. Up into P5 he goes. Great racing from those two. Yellow flags. J-Luke is out of the session. It's massive, massive for Gareth, who now only needs to score 5 points to get P3 in the regular season standings. We see pit stops happening. And this is a VSC. No, it's a safety car. Kieran, can you confirm?
Safety car.
Safety car it is. There you go. Massive, massive moment in this season.
It's Ben Harrop, Kieran and OKK all coming into the pits. Of course, I think when it came out, the likes of Yuri, Ben Shaw and Casper were all past the pit lane entry. So it came at the worst possible time. Well, I'd say for Ben and Casper, Yuri could wait a little bit longer to make his stop. But yeah, Ben Shaw and Casper could have really benefited from this.
All stops made so far under this safety car have been non-mandatory. According to the brief VAR check I've just had, that will be confirmed after the race, of course. But the safety car... Sorry, what I was trying to say. The safety car was out before anybody was committed to pit lane. So, my apologies. Let me correct myself. Anybody who pitted then under safety car, if they still had their safety car stop in hand, then it was legal. But Danny and Kieran, I'm sure you'll respect this, too much has happened for me to keep up.
That's Jake and Kyle and Yuri all coming in.
So
all three of them hadn't made a stop yet, so all three of those stops are legal.
Yes, they are. Let me just get this written down. So Jake led from lap 4 to lap 15. Iceman now back at the front. And what I was going to say right before that, J-Luke DNF, was did you see the lighting in-game change? It went very dark and the rain got a little bit heavier. I don't know, Kieran, if you can confirm. Did it get worse? Is it worse, or is it still intermediates for you?
Feels the same for me. It does say 88% in 5 minutes though, so it could be getting much heavier.
So we're getting close then. The halfway point of this race is lap 18, and it's currently lap 16. The remaining Joker driver, Jori Hazelager, down in P11. One stop done. If he can keep those tyres on to the end, then he'll be a race winner and into the playoffs. But the massive talking point from this, Jamie Wright out of this race, come into it +4 ahead of Gareth. Gareth needs 5 points to go clear because of count back. And Gareth, obviously your mate Quint, Gareth finishing P3. You will not hear the end of it if he takes those 3 playoff points into the postseason. He has never scored a playoff point that hasn't come from anything other than a P3 finish, would you believe? Unbelievable scenes for Mr. Hall, originally from Crawley and now eyeing up his best playoff points tally ever. He runs in P5.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because Ben is going to get the second stage point because it's still under safety car conditions, most likely going to come in this lap. As soon as, well, if Casper doesn't do anything magical. Well,
just define magical, please.
Well, just if he doesn't like get a move, like accidentally overtake him and then it keeps the position for him and the safety car, then Ben's going to get stage point.
Absolutely. Little stat for you as well. Jake O'Sullivan. Oh. Do we need a chat, Kieran?
Did not touch her.
Wow.
This game.
Okay. Well, you've heard it from the man himself. He didn't touch it. It wasn't me, officer. Safety car in this lap. And what I was going to say is Jake O'Sullivan, who has now led won 7 stages this season. He has never won both stages in a race in this current season. So if Iceman can lead the next 2, that stat will continue. Connor now leaves the session. He's seen enough. He's going to be like, I'll see you guys in the chase next week. But as it stands, I think Jess might be looking at sneaking her way in. She's in a position where 5 points are available to her. She gets one more. She overtakes Connor and would advance to the playoffs. But let's get this restart underway. Lap 18 is under Iceman's spell and away we go. He leaves the field behind and here comes Jake on the inside of Casper into turn 1. Is there contact? Yes there is, but they get away with it and Casper will retain P2 on the run up the hill. There's contact from the back and in the wall goes Gareth. It's not Gareth, it's Leroy. Gareth meanwhile has dropped to P7. Ben leads into turn 2. And Jake has taken P2 off of Casper. It's Leroy who we saw spinning into the wall. Believe it or not, there's no damage on that car. He got spun around by someone else who I didn't see. But Iceman being hounded by Jake O'Sullivan. He has built up a 1 second gap, but the smallest of mistakes here will close that instantly. Jori overtakes the midfield man for another midfield position. Into the final sector they come then. End of this lap is the second stage point. A playoff point that could be so crucial to Iceman or Jake. Jake, by the way, once we get into the playoffs, he's already advanced to the round of 8, such as the good work he's done this season. But keep it clean, Iceman.
Ben Harrott. Yeah, Ben Harrott's gone round at turn 7, so Jess gains another position.
Only she lost one on the start, unfortunately for her. So stage 2 goes to Ben Shaw. And Ben Shaw has only had the one-stage victory this season, but here comes Jake O'Sullivan for the lead. Up the inside he goes. Will he be later on the brakes? So much respect between these two. And through goes Jake to resume the race lead once again. He, of course, doesn't have a 5-second penalty like the two drivers behind him do. So Kyle looking in a very good position. Risky Racer up there once again, certainly turning his fortunes around. And M-Shep and Rageman, the two reserves, having good races so far. Joker Yuri in P8, and then Team Speed's fastest driver Gareth P9 looking at P3 in the standings as we speak. He's just got to get it to the end and finish in the top 14. That's all he needs to do. Top 13, sorry.
Yeah,
Beyond that, go on, sorry.
Well, currently, I was going to say, we've got Yuri, who was all over the gearbox of Robin, going all the way through turn 6 and 7. I was going to say it's the Dutchman versus the German.
The Dutchman versus the German. There you go. It's the wrong German, unfortunately, for Yuri. Of course, Mike's win last week was not the most popular. It was good for the league, but not the most popular within the league. He won't care. But Yuri now starting to close on Rageman. This rain looks to be getting heavier. Jess up to P12 and in a playoff advancing position as we speak. Yuri P7. P9 leaves the session. He's seen enough. Sayonara. See you in the chase next week. M-Shep trying to close the gap to Risky, who is starting to fall away from the front four. Jake has opened up a hell of a gap in just a lap and a bit. He is the man to beat this week, the Season 5 champion. And the midfield man, Jake's protege, down in P15 having troubles. Kieran Spears, talk to us. What's going on?
I just sent it on OKK. Got a bit of support damage. Yeah, support damage out of it.
Okay, we missed that, so you're going to have to do it again so we can verify it actually happened. In comes the race leader. Shut up, I'm talking. In comes the race leader along with Kyle. Not sure who got the lap there.
Well, you think this is, like I said before, with the pit stops, even though Ben had quite a big gap to the back of Jake, the overcut is the main strategy, well, pit stop strategy you want to do in this game. And with Jake pitting now, Ben can definitely try and take advantage of any overcut.
Absolutely. And I can't quite remember, but does Iceman still have his safety car stop in hand? Or is that me making things up again?
I'm not 100% sure on that.
Useless! Anyway, Yuri is back up into P4 with those pit stops, and he's behind teammate Risky, who I imagine will not make things difficult for the Dutchman, who is not Dutch, he is Belgian, but he's too embarrassed to say that. Here goes Kieran on Rageman, what a move! We didn't see it though, I just saw the move happen on the timing table. Sorry, Kieran. Goodness sake.
Oh. Shep picks
He's
up
on
another
mute.
3-second time penalty. I caught it
ya?
on, and it was a very, very audacious send, I'd say, through turn 7.
We brought Kieran in to put on a show for us, and we're not even watching him. I tell you what, we'll watch him on the run-up towards turn 3. You actually looked a bit closer to Gareth than what the off-board camera suggested. Yuri, by the way, has got through on Risky. And Jamie puts Jess... Oh no, Jess pits, sorry, my bad. So Jess now in last place. That is not enough to make the playoffs, but she's still in contention. It only takes what we call in the league a Corey Carsey to happen. And then, you've got 4 positions open up. Those of you that remember the Season 5 race here, where Corey hit all 3 of his championship rivals, allowing Yuri to go on and win the race.
Or
Took them all out.
You could call it a Mike special.
I could call it a Quinn special as well. I'd be quiet.
Yeah.
I'm loving this.
Oh.
I'll tell you what, Gareth's going to love hearing this back as well.
Yeah, it definitely is. But someone who's really benefiting from this, like all of the people around him has got penalties, is Yuri. everyone around him in the top 5 has got some sort of penalty, and although the gap to Casper is 4.5 seconds, he's got a bit of a healthy gap to Risky behind him, and yeah, he's really going to be benefiting from this. I believe both Casper and Iceman have 5-second penalties, and the gap to Iceman is currently 5.3 seconds.
And they both have to pit as well, don't forget that.
Yeah, they definitely do.
So your net race leader is Yuri. Look at this for M-Shep. Down the inside of Kieran he goes into turn 4. Tries to push him out wide, Hamilton style, but Kieran has a better traction on the exit there. M-Shep doing a fantastic job coming up from the Kia Series today, just to fill in the numbers.
The other Kia drivers really struggling at the moment. I just on board with Rageman. He was really struggling. He's really struggling on traction. He might have some sort of damage. Yeah, he's really struggling on traction. As well. It looks like, yeah, he's going to be coming into the pits, and that is Gareth into the pits as well as Risky.
Yeah, and we see Casper is keeping the pressure on Iceman here. Iceman staying out, leading these laps, by the way, trying to close the gap that Jake has built up. The most laps led playoff points still available, still up for grabs. But Iceman has to go quite some way to take that off of Jake, who is currently down in P6. Yuri, though, as you say, Quint, is in the box seat once again in Austria. He just loves it round here. And we now see Kieran, who's found his way into P4. How's the weather? It's looking very, very intermediate from our point of view. Kieran?
Sorry, I pressed the mute button. Unmute button, it just didn't work.
Oh, unmute yourself, you village idiot.
I spoke to Jeff, and he's still saying light with rain, so not sure who's correct at the moment, but still intermediates. Grips starting to go off from these tyres, but...
And of course we are now more than half an hour into this race, I dare say.
Yeah, I think...
Which is when the heavy rain was expected, so... what's your situation? Have you still got to stop?
Yeah, I've got to do one more stop. I'm about 5 seconds from the game being very unfair on me.
Yeah, well,
very good.
Thankfully, because you're going to serve that, it means we don't have to do anything post-race to get rid of it, which makes my life easy. Jake O'Sullivan, P5, and closing the gap to your good self, Kieran. Keep him behind, because if you do that, we'll get another race winner this season. And we're all about that here in JACKOCAR. Thank you very much. Anyway, let's go to somebody better than Kieran. And here's Leroy. Okay, sorry, wrong person. Here's OKK. You're enjoying this, aren't you?
Something I want to mention is, yeah, we've said that Yuri is in a great position to win this race. But Jake, with making both of his stops already, he's closing in on Yuri at a rate of knots. So this race win might not be confirmed for Yuri just yet.
Yes. Shame. And Jake said to me as well, he wants to do as much hard work as possible in the regular season, knowing that he's going to miss one of the playoff races. I think it's Mexico he misses. And of course, the more playoff points he has, of course, it's 5 points for a race win. The easier that will be in the postseason. Because after this week, you do not get playoff points for a race win for the rest of the season. With the exception of should you convert a Joker win. You get the 5 bonus points there, but not for the race win by itself. So another 5 here would be good for him. And they'd also be very good for Yuri if he can keep that gap up. But it is closing, as you say. So we are relying on Kieran to make it interesting. What we need is Austin, Texas, Season 4 vibes, Championship 5. You know what to do, Mr. Spears.
Yeah. I'll throw the wall any minute now.
Thank you very much. And of course, if Kieran does actually put him in the wall, we will edit this bit out. Back to the race lead. Casper is the closest he's been to Iceman for some time. So we'll enjoy this lovely helicopter shot.
Yeah, the two drivers up front are really pushing the pace, and that is Leroy who's round. He hasn't beached it. He's on the inside of turn 8, trying not to get into anyone's way, and he's going to filter in just behind Ben Harrott. So 14th, and he's still got a pit stop to make.
I can't believe you called Leroy round. That's an awful offensive joke to make. Unbelievable from Danny Quinn there, talking about his rivals like that. Leroy does pit, by the way, so this won't promote Jess up into P14 because she's so far behind. It might do. Yeah, it should do. Ignore me.
Yeah. It'll be very close, I think, actually.
Absolutely.
I don't think it will be.
Jess.
But yeah, Casper's still hounding, well, Ben for the lead of this race, and he's just closing in. Both of them are running quite low on ERS, but Ben has got a significant advantage. He is less than 50%, but Casper himself is below 20%, and if you get below that, it's going to be very difficult to build it back up.
Yep. And, Casper runs wide at turn 1, but having a good race, a race he needed, obviously will fall down the order when he makes his stop, but it's good to see him actually challenging Ben, of course, one of the known front runners. If Casper can do this more often, he'll be certainly in with a shot of race wins. Speaking of race wins, that gap between Kieran and Yuri has dropped, and so has the gap between Kieran and Jake, as Jake looks to find his way back towards the front of the field. There's just about 8.5 laps to go here in Austria. And who else? OKK's actually had a good recovery since that spin on the second restart. I don't know if he needs to pit again. We will just check that. 2 stops, so I think he is good. Of course, a very trustworthy bunch of drivers. They do tend to follow strategy because they know disqualification is the only other option. But back to the tyre situation. Iceman's been on these for 22 laps. I think he's goal hanging for a safety car at this point, and Casper doing much the same. Another lap led for Ben. 27 and 28. I will count these for you. That's 9, 10, 11, 12. To Jake, who has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 2 more laps for Ben would put him in the lead of the most laps led point, but of course it will not be done. Has to finish the race first.
Yeah, I was just going to mention the fact that we might be getting some Sergio Perez Abu Dhabi going on here. When Ben decides to pit, we could definitely see...
Oh, M-Shep.
Yeah, that's Shep going round on the exit of turn 1. But as I was saying, we could get some masterful defensing. Well, defensing? That isn't a word. Defensive.
It is now. Let's roll with it.
We will get some masterful defensing from Yuri on Jake. I think that's definitely what could be happening now.
Absolutely. And of course, Yuri's not one to just let someone drive by. Casper, by the way, pits. But yeah, Yuri will get very defensive. And the advantage he's got as well here is Kieran is being a good sport and staying out. But also there's no DRS. So Jake isn't catching at the speed you would expect him to in these conditions. So if Yuri can just... I'm not saying anything. If he can just keep going, he'll be fine, won't he, at the end of the day? Kieran P3, Jake P4, Kyle, another good race, P5. His strategy is complete, so your net top 3 at the moment is Yuri, Jake and Kyle. And OKK, unfortunately, with that penalty, may just drop behind Casper towards the end of this race. But how long do Iceman and Kieran stay out for? That's what we need to know.
I think he's really banking on a safety car, because he's definitely staying out. Or maybe he's forgotten his rules again.
No. He'll only do that once, trust me. 16 people now watching. It's the highest we've had all season. I am surprised because this is the pinnacle of esports. It doesn't get any better than this. The home of Thursday nights is JACKOCAR. Remember to stay tuned for the following 7 weeks, where we go to the likes of San Marino and Mexico and the Paul Ricard Super Speedway once again before we head off to Silverstone for a Championship 5. This is the business end of the season.
And look at Jake. He's right on Kieran's gearbox now.
Yes, he is. We won't talk to Kieran. But we will follow this battle with intent as I keep us updated. So, Iceman, one more lap needed to take the playoff point away from Jake. But I'm sure you're all interested in what's going to happen here. It's Jake O'Sullivan, the Season 5 champion, versus Kieran Spears, the Season 6 champion. And here goes Jake then to the inside. Kieran will not put up a huge defence there because it would be risky, but he goes back around the outside in a fantastic move to keep this race alive for Jori Hazelager. Fantastic driving from Kieran as Iceman leads another lap. Jake has used up a lot of his ERS now. Tries to take the wider line into turn 1, but the traction is not too good on exit. Jori is 5 laps away from a second Cup Series victory. But what can Kieran do as the penalties fly in? Jake, he's too smart to send it up the inside there. You know he won't do that. If it was for a championship, he might. Struggles on the exit. And these tyres 11 laps old to Kieran's 17. Jori, his tyres are 16 laps old. Iceman remains out there, goal hanging for a safety car. This is all bubbling nicely. We don't know who's going to win. 6 race winners this season. 2 each for Jamie Wright, Ben Shaw and Jake O'Sullivan. 1 for Kyle, 1 for Kieran, and 1 for Mike Kelterborn last week. Jori could make it 7. 7 race winners.
I think what's happening here is that both Ben and Kieran are going to leave it as late as possible to pit in for their second stop and try and ensure that Jori gets the win here.
Absolutely. But again, Mr. Quinn, I am saying nothing. What I will say is, I hope there's still a lot of respect between you two, but of course you left Team Speed under Jori's control for you to come in and commentate on a Jori win. Would it be the end of the world for you, or are you just happy to be here? Here goes Jake, by the way.
Oh no, I have the utmost respect for Jori. My time at Team Speed was one of the best times I've had. It's such a good team. And I did leave on my own accord. There's no bad blood between us. Maybe bad blood between me and some of the members of Team Speed. But yeah, there's me and Jori. We both have so much mutual respect for each other that he's said when I left that the door's always open.
That's what you love to hear.
Definitely. Well, it's not something I'm thinking of for right now, as I'm really enjoying my time with Red Dragon Racing, but yeah, it's definitely something I can consider in the future.
Love to hear that respect between the drivers, even after parting ways. And of course, more on that when we eventually get to a Danny Quinn podcast. It is coming, but not yet. I've still got to get a few more in first, and you need to win a title, and then we can get it done.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
And maybe this season, Season 5 Kia Series champion Danny Quinn. Will it happen? Maybe, maybe not.
The gap between Jake and Jori, it is closing, but not as fast as I would think it is. It's round about 1.1 seconds, just creeping towards that 1 second mark. And yeah, Jori would do anything to have Kieran between them.
Absolutely, he would. And I've just put up the ERS percentages for you guys. So Jake O'Sullivan on 38 and Jori on 79. So he's been saving. He knows what's coming. And Iceman finally pits, so it's job done for him. He's been and got the playoff point that he needed for most laps led. Jori Hazelager, it's over to you. Austria and 2 laps to go stand in the way of a second race victory in the Cup Series on his return to full-time racing. Can he do it? And Jake O'Sullivan, the in-form driver in the league, has a moment out of turn 1. And Yuri straight on the ERS. But Jake has managed to save a little bit. Kieran, don't forget you've got to make a pit stop as well, bud. But he's still looking at the back of maybe a P2 here before he has to pit. But the battle is here. If there's anything else going on, we're not interested. I'm going to get rid... No, we're going to leave that up, actually. Let me do this and we'll be right back with you. So, as far as the playoffs are concerned, Jess is not doing enough. Ben Harrah is not doing enough. And Yuri is doing enough. In fact, he's doing enough right now to knock out... not Casper. Oh, Kieran has a moment. To knock out... Who was it? Casper. Help me out, Quinn. I'm forgetting who was the three above. Connor would be going out because of his crash.
Connor...
And Jamie Griffiths. So, yeah. So Casper, Yuri. Oh, my God. 1 lap to go here in Austria. Casper, Yuri, and the other one are looking at going to the playoffs. Look at Jake O'Sullivan right on the back. Don't do it to him. Heartbreak. Yuri weaves left and right, trying to shake off Jake. He's going to go defensive here. Jake again, ever the respectful driver. Yuri goes deep. It's a heartbreaking error. And through goes Jake O'Sullivan for the race lead. What a great shame that is. But we've seen it before in JACKOCAR. Maybe Jake lets him back through. It's wishful thinking. But for a man that so badly wants to make it to the Championship 5 with as minimal effort as possible, a move like that is absolutely crucial. Another 5 playoff points if he can make it stick. But absolutely heartbreaking for Yuri. Should it end like this? What will Jake do? Do you have a heart, Mr. O'Sullivan? Or are you going to take your 3rd victory of the season? 1 corner to go in Austria. We've had it all, but I don't see him slowing down. Jake O'Sullivan steals the win on the final lap. And Yuri is only P2. But I think he will advance on points and he'll knock Connor out of the playoffs. So Yuri, Casper and Jamie Griffiths will all advance. But Yuri will only pick up 1 playoff point rather than the 5. And that is absolute heartbreak. But Jake O'Sullivan wins, what is it, his 6th or 7th race in the Cup Series. I do have the stats available, actually. Do hold the line callers. Wins his 6th race in the Cup Series. But your driver of the day, the people's driver of the day, is going to be that man that we're following on board.
Yeah.
All credit though to Jake O'Sullivan. What a drive to come back. That earlier pit stop worked out well for him. Iceman ended up P4, by the way. Kyle on the podium once again with no will as he rests on the pit straight. Casper P5, good drive from him. KK 6, that's the best of the season. And Gareth, by the way, P7 finishes P3 overall in the regular season. Jamie Wright will only be P4.
Yeah, from those 3, from Ben, Jake and Jamie, all just the battle that they had. For Jamie to finish the regular season in P4 is definitely, I'd say it's a bad situation for him. From having basically a season-long battle with both Ben and Jake to finish P4 in the fashion that has happened here with him ultimately DNFing, it's got to affect him a little bit going into the postseason. But with him being a previous champion, you got to think that the pressure shouldn't really get to him.
No, well, Jamie Wright is a postseason merchant, as we all know. Over 60% of his wins have come from those final 7 races in a JACKOCAR season. But here is your order then. Jake O'Sullivan from the heartbroken Yuri, 7/10. What a shame. Then Kyle and Iceman and Casper. KK, best result of the season. Gareth finishing P3 overall. Kieran, by the way, well done, P8. And talking to us at the same time, Risky P9. Rageman, with all his struggles, ended up P10. Jamie Griffiths 11th, and playoff bound. Matt Shepherd 12th, reserving. Great job from him. Ben Harrett, the midfield man, P13. Jess, not enough in the end. She'll be P14. Leroy a lap down, and all the others were DNF, including Jamie right there. But what a race. We had drama, we had heartbreak, and we also have ourselves a playoff and a chase board to look forward to next week. Going into... Oh, pardon me, that's a burp, by the way. Ever professional. The next 6 races then. San Marino, Brazil, then Saudi and Mexico, and Monza and Paul Ricard before we go to Silverstone. Danny Quinn, you're going to be a part of that. Kieran Spears, you're going to be a part of that as well. One of you in the chase, one of you in the playoffs. What are you expecting over the next 7 weeks?
I think personally for myself, all of the tracks in postseason bar Saudi are relatively strong tracks for myself. So it's a long shot, but I'll be doing my best to challenge for the chase. And although I believe I'm on -1 playoff point, so it's not the greatest start, but Kia last season I started on -1 playoff point in the chase, and look what happened. So history might repeat itself.
A good omen indeed. What about you, Kieran? Going into it with up against the big names of Gareth, Jake, and Ben Short, how are you going to fare in the playoffs there?
It's going to be tough, but I just got to crack on and hope for the best. By the way, you know how Matt Shepherd didn't race? That's because he went on to Spectator.
Was he? He did well if he was on Spectator. He did a bloody good job if he was on Spectator Camel race. I'm sure he didn't. Surely not. Anyway, I'll worry about that afterwards. Gentlemen, thank you very much for what may well be a one-off occasion. It's very rare to have 2 drivers that don't want to race and then all of a sudden change their mind, Kieran, and do want to race and do comms. But thank you both. I look forward to watching you through the next 7 weeks. It is, of course, 7 straight weeks, no breaks, all the way through. But do join us next week in San Marino, where the playoffs kick off for Season 7. Goodbye.